Third hour of coverage on Force 13 Live. This is the latest, and we are tracking Cyclone Berguitta. We are here for 4 hours, it's our third of 4, and the current time in Mauritius is 11 o'clock. It is 7 p.m. here in the UK, and we are around the world broadcasting live. As you saw at the top of the hour there, Cyclone Berguitta is now up to 120 miles an hour according to Force 13's numbers. These numbers are not official. 120 miles an hour, 953 millibars. It is at, you'll see on the left hand side of your screen shortly, the actual position. I can't remember exactly the numbers. It will show up in a moment. 18.1 south, 62.6 east. That's the latest according to our numbers. As you saw at the top of the screen there, the latest distances from land: 121 miles north-northwest of Rodrigues, 219 miles east-southeast of St. Brandon, and 361 miles east-northeast of Port Louis. It's moved 4 miles towards the Mauritian capital in the last hour. We're joined by our team in this hour, consisting of Gabe, Craig, and Addison. I always forget your name. I'm sorry. It is though, isn't it? Oh good. I can only see the screen share, so I don't know if it's actually you or not. That's the problem.
That's fine.
Anyway, there is everyone, and there's Craig. Craig, any thoughts on this storm? Any new pictures that you've acquired?
Yes, I have. I have got the latest imagery, and I am now getting even more concerned because it is doing exactly as I was saying in the last hour. Yeah, it's not exactly reassuring. That big burst of convection looks to have now possibly, now I'm going to say possibly again because I'm going to reiterate it many times, possibly started a knock-on effect with -80 cloud tops starting to wrap around the eye wall.
Well,
that in its own right is not good. It's good for the storm, but it's bad for land areas because that means the storm, in terms of land area human impact, that means the storm could be is in the process of getting stronger, both in terms of pressure and wind speeds. So in the last hour, you've seen how this big burst of convection to the north of the eye wall has somewhat stayed the same, but has also started to expand round to the eastern section of the storm.
just want to bring an update from Meteo France as well, Craig, on the other system, the depression. They're now saying that it won't be a tropical storm and it's going to move inland and dissipate. That's just a little piece of news there.
Oh. No. But you can see there in the last frame, you can see this image here is, you can see how clear the eye is now starting to get. You can see it's starting to actually warm even further, which is, as Nathan was saying in the last hour, that, pardon me, for a storm in its own right is good in terms of strength, because the warmer the eye, the stronger the storm can be. But as I said, for land impacts, that's not good. That's far from it. But the storm right now, it is improving. Probably frame by frame.
Well, of course.
But if you're seeing that now, that for me has got to get alarm bells ringing, because you're seeing it when it's starting to come to the most pivotal point of where the telling point whether this could make a direct landfall on both islands or one of them. So it's as I said last hour, it's downhill from here.
What do you think about the latest Réunion forecast, which has it grazing the northern coast of Mauritius and a direct landfall on Réunion?
Well, it's either way, regardless of landfall or not, you're going to get hurricane force winds if it does do that.
Also, what do you think about Réunion saying that the pressure in this storm is 940, which, if I'm not mistaken now, Mauritius has actually gone with that number as well. So both of them, Mauritius and La Réunion, both saying that this storm has a pressure of 940. Don't you still think that's a little bit low?
Probably for this time. The eye doesn't really...
In about an hour or two, I might agree. But
I would say give it maybe an hour.
We're going with 953 at the start of our update here.
The winds also say 105, so technically, officially, it's a Category 2.
That is according to Union. They're saying that the last update was 105 miles an hour, but I still haven't received their latest text update yet. They do take quite a while to do that.
Oh.
But we'll see if the 1800 Zulu update comes out anytime soon.
What's the latest update? I was away for a minute.
Not much yet, but there's just an update to the Reunion track, but that's about it at present. It's
So
still
Looking at the
9:40
RAM
now.
ASCAT, Nathan,
Right.
is it just saying, looking
Okay.
at the RAM ASCAT has picked up winds of 101 knots and an air pressure of 941.3 millibars.
Really? Now, how do you define? Where did you get that from?
The RAM, it's on the actual storm floater product of.
Oh, that's their estimate, though. It's not actually certain.
Not actually what they're going
Is that
over,
the
but
same
it-
one that said that Haiyan had a pressure of 850, whatever?
Probably.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust that with my life, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Can exaggerate. Have we got anyone else in the room at this moment in time? Who have we got?
Lots of people, it seems.
No, because everyone's
No,
just
we're
lit up and they're not actually here.
Bringing in who's not.
Hello.
Oh.
That's
Okay.
Isaac, I think.
Hello.
Isaac, hello, how are you?
Fine, just
Do
prepared
you-
for the major
Well,
cold snap.
yes, of course. We've put this storm up to 120 miles an hour right now. Would you agree?
Yeah, looking at the latest imagery, it's looking more well-defined, and the colder cloud tops are trying to wrap around more around the center. In fact, I can show you in the new image that just appeared about 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Just hold on a second here. And you can really see how it's really trying to wrap itself around and get really well-defined. It's not looking good at all for Mercis and Reunion.
Now, our friends at Meteorological Maurice on Facebook, they've also put out an update, which regrettably I'm not able to access myself, but you might want to check that out as well. We're working together for this
What?
particular storm. Our partners at Meteorological Maurice, MCM.
And what did they do? Because he cut out on my end.
They've put out an update
Oh,
along with
okay. I'm about
to coincide with
let's
the
do it.
Reunion update. I'm sure many
You
people
could
are
really
acquainted with them.
You can really see in a new image. Oh, okay, this one to load. Okay, I have to redo it. I have to try it again. Oh, it's loading.
Let's
Okay,
have some
never
more
mind.
questions then. Do you think that Invest 90W will form and receive the name Sandbar? No.
Probably not.
Let's move on. Now let's get the latest image. Here's an image. Isaac, do you want to talk to us about this? Yeah, it looks like a horseshoe
Well,
eye wall.
Yeah, it looks well. The previous frame was showing it more around the northern periphery, but now it's moving onto the southern periphery of the storm, and now the eastern, western, and northern parts are in that colder area, but the southern portion it seems to be the weakest so far from the storm. But that might change in the next frame. That is probably going to come out in the next like 20 minutes or so.
I'm
But,
concerned about that wrapping around completely.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. If that wraps around completely, then we could be looking at something maybe a little bit stronger than what we thought.
Yeah, because looking at
If
that
that's-
image that's on the stream right now from you, Isaac, the eye's a lot more defined than what it was, which is a lot more improved, especially around the eye wall.
Yeah, and if that
How
keeps,
This screams strengthening, unfortunately.
and if that keeps going up for the next like 2 hours or so, then they're probably gonna have to upgrade it to even higher than 115 or 120 or whatever they had it at as.
Well, as I say, we're going with 120 right now, and that is unofficial. The official number is still at 105, to my knowledge, until I see some news from Reunion, but
Yeah, my sketch
JTWC
class, yeah.
have 105 as well.
Just looking at the new image that's come on through on RAM, yeah, minus 80 is starting to try and join up with the other set. The first area of minus 80 that blew up on the northern side of the eye wall is now trying to show up on or is now trying to join up with the side that's on the part that's on the western side of the cyclone. So this really is not good at all. And
Yeah.
that strong outflow burst that's to its west, the two outflow bursts are still going. It's come out as well. So this storm is activity as shown on the imagery. So
And it's not good at all for Reunion and Mauritius because they might get stronger winds than we thought.
looking at it on the eastern side, and towards the southern side, pretty much the entire eye wall, -80 is probably going to try and start to show up.
Like
Managed to.
it's looking really good right now, and the only place that it needs to work on is the southern portion. And if it gets that southern portion done out and sorted, then we could be looking at a really bad situation here. If it's not, if it wasn't worse enough.
On the southeastern side, you can see if you look at the two sections, the southern side and the eastern side, the actual direct eastern side itself, you can see the cloud tops are actually starting to climb. They are starting to climb, but starting to worry me is that maybe that knock-on effect that I was going on about, as I said, reiterate at the last hour, is now happening, which I'm concerned about. Burst of -80, and then you see the second burst of -80 occurring in another section of the storm, and now you're seeing them getting bigger and starting to wrap around completely.
Yeah.
Worries me the most is that if that does play out, you do get -80s wrapping around the eye wall completely. Not saying it will, but it could. It's really how do you describe it really, apart from using the words bad?
Yeah, okay. If you've got any questions for us during our stream, as I keep saying, do start your message with Force13 all in text in the YouTube chat if you're watching us there right now. This is live until 1 AM Mauritius time, and then after that we put our coverage on a recorded version online, so if you are watching after 1 AM then we won't be live anymore and sending a message would be futile. But even if that is the case, you can also use our social mediums, search Force13 all in text on Facebook and at Force13 on Twitter to get in touch with us directly. And still you've got that huge battle between the storm and its moist environment and now that dry air over the islands at the moment. It's going to push that away, I think. It's doing it slowly already.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the joys of a cyclone having its outflow base to the west, was where it's any threat to its west or form of dry air, it is just going to block it. So that's the downside now, is that there's pretty much next to nothing that can stop it apart from the surprise eye wall replacement.
I don't suppose you've got any new wind shear graphics at all?
Drum roll if Sims works, or if not, you will physically hear me cheer with joy because it has not been working for near enough 24 hours. No, literally 24 hours. It's not been working.
Yeah,
well, still isn't working.
So that's foolish on their part.
And it isn't working.
Just when you need all that information, you know.
48.
Just when you need all that information.
We need a wind shear map desperately.
Ooh, someone's gain is turned all the way up.
Desperately.
Indeed.
Where is it?
On
Indian Ocean. Nice.
So, Craig,
Someone's gain is all the way up.
Yes, we've already sorted that in the live stream, but it won't help your ears. Craig, what do you think about this storm then? Its movement right now? I think it is. Quite clearly, it's accelerating.
It's starting to pick up speed, you know, slowly but surely.
Yeah, as I was going to do every hour now, we'll be checking up to see how far it's actually gone since the previous hour, and I think I've lost where it was the previous hour actually, but it must have moved something like, no, it must be doing something like 14 miles per hour, I think, at the moment.
Depending, but looking at the last frame on that moisture, on that water vapor that's on the stream right now, is that literally up to date right now, is it?
The last image on there is from, let me just wait to see. It is 6 o'clock, so it is just over an hour ago. The 7
Just over an
p.m.
hour ago.
UTC image should be coming in at just sometime during this hour.
The general idea I'm getting off of that is that the storm for now is still moving a general south-southwest direction.
Definitely southwest now, yeah.
That sort of direction. So it is moving towards the islands, but looking at the loop there, you can see, if you look very closely, you see the outflow starting to push the dry air away physically.
That's what I was saying before.
You can see their large outflow burst from the western side of the storm, which is pushing the dry air away. Pretty much, this storm is now defending itself from any form of threat. Sure, we don't know about because Sims is still broken.
Craig, getting angry on air is not a good sign.
No, it is not.
At Sonny and Goni live stream.
Indeed, but that was many years ago. Let's look at the NHC enhancement.
Honestly.
That's what we're looking at right.
Yeah,
Okay,
just
well.
as angry as him.
Okay, wonderful. Gabe, would you like to say something?
I'm it's a little bit disappointing that the wind shear map isn't pulling up.
I think it's safe to assume that wind shear amounts are still low.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Especially the way this is blowing up convection.
Are you looking on this imagery that I'm showing now on the NHC enhancement? That's the most scary, in my opinion, Craig.
Concerning and spooky because you see how the eye goes from literal physical pinhole, very large eye, larger eye.
Actually, two small eyes.
Oh, that was the big discussion last night.
That was a big discussion. We found out though it was only one eye.
There's a question, what are the sea surface temperatures? I can tell you the sea surface temperatures all around this area are 27 and 28 Celsius, which is certainly more than enough to sustain a significant tropical cyclone.
Yeah, currently Poland's right now. You're warm. Don't worry, this system will be a monster.
Well, that's what we're hoping.
And people are lagging.
There's a lot more waiting to do, though, unfortunately.
Since we're in another hour right now, I'm gonna repeat what I said in the last hour about the preparations and all that. Again, ensure that your house is in good condition and can withstand cyclone gusts. Trim tree branches likely to cause damages to your house, telephone, and electricity lines. Clear your property of loose material that can cause injury and damage during extreme winds. Identify secure places for your boat. Be acquainted with the nearest cyclone refugee centers. Prepare an emergency kit consisting of one of the following: 1. Portable AM/FM radio and fresh batteries. 2. Torch, lamps, candles, matches, etc. 3. Water containers. 4. Canned food, can opener, stove with sufficient gas. 5. Rice, flour, fish, biscuits, cheese, etc. 6. First aid kit with essential medicines. 7. Clothes secured in plastic bags. 8. Toolkit for emergency repairs, hammer, nail, rope, and etc. And please do this now.
Update on Tropical Depression 4. It technically is over land, according to this imagery. Or at least close to it.
Yes, and Meteo France not long ago said that it would no longer become a named storm.
Yeah, I see
I'm really
why.
surprised. Look. Under storms in circulation, well, quote-unquote circulation.
Well, Mozambique is definitely getting some flooding, if not already. As we've said several times. Although according to the CMC, it says the remnants will move back offshore and then over Madagascar. Right.
Now let's just get onto your screen again there, this model run. Talk us through this.
Yeah. see it moves over Mozambique, stays inland.
There's a
and
lot
then
of rain
it's-
falling there.
Yeah, and then slowly moves over northern Madagascar.
I'm gonna leave here really quickly because I gotta prepare for this really bad front that's gonna come in soon. I'm gonna have to tie down all my plants and all that. So
Blimey.
I'll be back in a bit.
So
Yeah,
more
I'll be
storminess.
back. It's one of those strong fronts that we get every 3 years, but we got it like 3 times already, you know, this season. So, but I'm gonna go do that, and I'm gonna see if I could post the latest satellite images when I can. So be back in a bit.
The GFS obviously has a different. No, actually, it has nearly no. No, it just immediately dissipates.
Yeah, and you can see what it does with
Actually,
this
no.
storm.
Yeah, similar track actually. And then obviously 3 monstrosities here. But let's ignore them for now. Let's ignore them.
Let's go back to another view of the HWRF model run that I can show you here. This is what it looks like. This is another wind field map. This was from 12 Zulu, which is just over 7 hours ago now, when this model run was initiated. So the starting information a little bit old, and this is what the HWRF model, just one of many different models, did with the storm. Takes it to category 3 at this point with a pressure in the 940s, and then off towards the west-southwest. And then you can see it affecting Mauritius there. Its closest approach is at pretty much 115 miles an hour, which is about 180 something kilometers per hour, with a pressure of 949.5 according to this model run. And that would have been on overnight on Wednesday into Thursday. And then you can see it continuing and then intensifying in between the islands to category 4 briefly, and a pressure of 935, and then affecting Réunion and going all the way around it. Look at that. I just find that remarkable. Obviously we don't know if that's going to happen or not. Going all the way around and then off towards the southwest, and pressures briefly going into the 920s there according to this model run, with a category 4 wind speed. Now this is just one such scenario of many. It may not happen like this or at all like this, but this is just one suggested solution. And you're looking at the same thing. Hi, who's that?
Yeah, I was just looking at this.
We're joined by Orlando as well.
Oh, the assemble. Oh, crap. There's assemble models, right. Right, I completely forgot these exist. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
It's lower dynamics.
No. Lower dynamics? Oh.
Ensemble
the anomaly thing?
No, I think it's at the bottom.
Oh, assemble oh.
Oh, we've got some breaking news as well. The ATCF has put the storm at 115 miles per hour and a pressure of 950. That's according to the ATCF, the automated system that the JTWC uses. We're still waiting to see the bulletin from La Réunion, although we do have the map, which we'll show again shortly after this.
Yeah, the assemble models, almost every model is predicting...
Now that's a tight consensus there.
Yeah, pretty much a straight-on close approach. Or landfall, if that's the case. Yeah. And then another system?
That's really concerning then.
Yeah. I mean, if several assembly models and major models are predicting something like this, then you need to worry. Like, worry.
Well, clearly. Well, this is where we are at right now, everyone, and it looks like a severe cyclone impact is on the way.
I can shake my head on that. Force 13.
Let's check again with the Meteo France map. This, if you missed it earlier, is what it looks like as of 10 p.m. local time. when they did their last update an hour ago now. You can see where it's expected to go according to them. They think that it will be a glancing blow for Mauritius, grazing the northern coast of the island. Will still deliver full wind speeds though, if this track was to verify, and then a direct landfall on La Réunion as a significant cyclone according to Meteo France. But all that yellow shading there is not what the yellow shading is not what the wind field is going to look like. That is actually where the storm's centre could track, anywhere within that cone. If it tracks north of the islands, well, we'll be in for a long few days because the southern side of the storm has the largest wind field. If it tracks south of the islands, which is unlikely at this point, then it will be a little bit better, but not necessarily by much, depending on how close to the islands the storm does get. And then after that it will be nosediving poleward way out towards, well, towards the Antarctic. But that is the forecast over the next 5 days. According to La Réunion, they think that the storm will impact Mauritius late on Wednesday night and will affect Réunion on Thursday morning. Now, more questions coming in as we look at this imagery again of the storm traversing through the southwest Indian Ocean. Let's go back to the water vapor imagery because we've got a question on there. Can we have an update, or can you update us on the dry air and explain its impact? Would anyone like to take the floor?
Let me find a water vapor imagery.
Well, I've got it.
Oh, well, I was a bit late there.
Okay. Well, the thing about the dry air is that with some particular storms, I'm got to go into the stream on my other phone here so I can see the water vapor. But on storms like this, since they're kind of well consolidated, dry air shouldn't really be an issue until when it gets towards Mauritius, when you can see that black area. That's all the dry air there.
But Isaac, I just got to stop you there. Look at this very latest imagery. It has completely started pushing away that dry air in those last frames.
Yeah, because you can see that little band onto the southern side. It's just going to keep pushing it away unless that dry air from the western part right there starts entraining itself onto the northern periphery of the storm right there, and it'll start to weaken it. But right now, as far as I know, that doesn't seem to be happening right now. It seems to be trying to fight it off. To my knowledge, it looks like.
It's the problems with having an outflow that's on the western side. An inflow, the northern inflow is well to the north of the dry air, but if the dry air even tries to get into that, you see there the weaker dry air, even some of the moderate dry air, when in the yellow, is getting near it, and then it's just immediately being wetted down, turned into moisture. So pretty much,
and then there's that
storm it,
yeah,
going for it, in other words.
And then there's that moisture to its north too. That's blocking out the other the dry air from going into its northeast and killing it. So right now it's in a good spot for now, but it's gonna get hit by that dry air soon though. After it probably goes towards Mauritius, gets closer to it. But for now, it's
once it makes landfall, if it does.
But for now, it's staying well together right now. I mean, if this storm looked how it did about a day ago, like not really that organized, and then this situation, it was in the same area that it is right now, then it probably would have been a little bit weaker. But since it's as strong as it is right now, it doesn't look like it's going to be really weakening anytime soon.
If hadn't it been there in the same situation as it is right now, hadn't it been a little bit weaker, dry air would have had it.
Yeah, definitely. But it's strong right now, and it's gonna be strong for the next day or so until it heads towards Mauritius, and then probably start weakening a little bit, depending on the storm.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Okay, there's an update on the satellite. It doesn't seem to be much of a change, but it looks like the of Wally, but that isn't really much of a promise for its strength. Or, well,
Your connection's going in
What
and
did
out
you
a
just
lot.
say?
Your connection's really bad.
yes. I said tops seem to be warming up slightly.
The cloud tops or the eye? Sorry.
The cloud tops.
Ah, that's interesting then. Well, these things can be temporary, although the eye is also warming. So
Yeah.
whichever way we look at it, it's still getting stronger. Let's see if we got any more new imagery. I don't think we do yet.
Also seems like the eye wall is shrinking slightly in the last few frames.
Probably contracting to get stronger.
Maybe.
I neither.
I haven't seen any signs of an eyewall placement cycle, but I haven't checked microwave in like an hour or so.
I will. I can reassure you of that.
Well, I don't think we're gonna be placement cycle for a while in this storm. Unless it keeps stalling, in which case...
Oh, Craig, I got a
Which
new
is
imagery
very
here. I'm gonna share it with you in a second. It looks really good. I mean, not for Mauritius, but the storm itself looks really good. That's
I
really
agree.
bad, though.
Situation continues to deteriorate, but the storm condition continues to improve.
Just remind everyone of the
Craig.
latest information. A Class 1 warning is in effect for Mauritius, according to the Met service there, which people don't seem to like very much, and I can possibly see why, because they should have upgraded the warnings by now, because Class 2 warnings allow people, they issue them when there's 12 hours of daylight separating them from a storm, and I'm not convinced that there is 12 hours of daylight separating Mauritius from a storm at this point.
I don't think there's gonna...
So I think Class 2 warnings should be in effect. They will be putting them in effect at 4:10 in the morning. And then Class 3, I should hope, will follow pretty soon after that. When you're looking at this,
Craig.
I mean, those warnings just sound weird anyway. I think they need to change them, as you were saying.
Craig, I got some bad news here. The convection's trying to make its way on the southern part of the eye wall on the latest frame.
Feared. And along with everyone else.
I'm gonna post a new image here. It's not fully around it yet. It's still trying to make its way down there, but it's trying, dude. It's trying. Yeah.
Let's get one of those images. There's that RAM image that was posted just now. And Isaac has just posted an image too, looking like this. Needs to do a bit of clearing
It's
out in the middle.
Yep, that's wrapping.
So, one or two questions that just reiterate. Do you think there should be a minimum Class 2 warning in effect? Yes. Do you think it will reach Category 4? Well, models are borderline on that, Category 3 or 4. It is very possible, though.
Well,
what was that?
For the storm to reach Category 4.
Very possible. We missed the beginning of what he said.
Never mind, anyway. So here's the image that Isaac posted.
Okay, yes. Now that latest image, Craig, what do you think?
Well, as Isaac was describing, it is wrapping. That is in the process of wrapping. The storm is looking better, and the eye is contracting, which is normally is supposed to show signs of potential strengthening. So that in itself is bad. What else is there to say? This storm just looks really damn good in terms of satellite presentation, but situation-wise, it just continues to deteriorate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really not mucking about anymore. Considering this time last night, it would have been just getting ready to start improving, if not improving.
Yeah, I think it was that. Yeah.
More questions.
Getting ready to form a tie.
Do you think it will strike Réunion Island? Well, Réunion thinks so. They think there's going to be a direct landfall. Terminology is a little bit difficult around now. A strike, what does that exactly mean? Well, you could say that if tropical storm force winds occurred, the storm has already struck. Rodrigues, for instance, has already had tropical storm force winds, although, as you can see on this map, it was quite far away. Usually, when the eye wall makes landfall, but not the eye, that is usually considered a direct hit, where the strongest winds do make landfall, but the eye, which is the calm bit in the centre and doesn't have any strong winds, or usually any rain, misses. But when the eye makes landfall, and the centre of the eye makes landfall, that is actually a landfall, not anything else. So those are the sort of distinctions between the terminology, I suppose. It can get a little confusing.
There's a water vapor there off Meteosat.
Let's see if we can get some rain estimated from the satellite again here, because this is the most frequently updating imagery, and this imagery is now up to 7:01 UTC, which is 35 minutes ago, and it's doing a C. It's the letter C there, with a band underneath. And another image has just come in now from 7:16, which is just 20 minutes ago. That's UTC. That would be... oh no, it's got 7:31 as well. It's lying to me. 7:31 there. That's just 7 minutes ago. That's how it looks on that imagery, and you can see the colours there. It's getting into the sort of dark red maroon colour, and the pink there as well, just about in the northeastern side. Now that correlates to 1.5 inches of rain per hour in that particular area. The greens are 0.2 to 0.5 inches per hour, 5 to 10 millimeters. And you can see that southern band there, Craig and everyone else, as well defined as it has been.
It's getting stronger along with the rest of the storm.
And also you're seeing a little bit more sporadic rainfall off the western side there, and some of it is quite close to Mauritius now. That is because that water vapor that's because that water vapor has fought away that dry air in those last few hours. More rain is getting closer to Mauritius as a result.
Pretty much as this storm gets stronger, the outflow is going to get stronger along with its inflows. But at the minute, the main concern for now, until the main storm itself gets there, outflow is getting stronger. As the storm gains strength, the outflow will also gain strength. So pretty much dry air, the moisture can get ahead of it and then allow the thunderstorms and rain showers and potential squall lines to hit them, or to end up hitting whether it be Mauritius or La Réunion, wherever it goes, depending if it misses one. But the way its conditions are going to get worse.
Oh, you can see, you just saw those sea surface temperatures as well there. I don't know if we could go back to them.
Yeah. Nice.
I am concerned because they are very, very warm to support Category 3 plus.
Yeah, I'm more concerned.
But there is that potential chance that it could get above Category 3. Now, you've got warm sea surface temperatures, low wind shear, and it's the cyclone which has pretty much trapped itself in its own little moisture bubble, in a way. In its own environment, in a way.
Well, what I'm more Go on. Come on.
What are we doing now?
I don't know.
I was just doing things over here. Let's see if there's any more questions. I mean, people talking about... Here's an interesting question. What is the strongest shape for a storm's eye wall? A C, a complete ring, or Hurricane Matthew's skull shape?
I know.
A complete ring is the answer.
Not a skull, because a skull signifies the sign of thunderstorms collapsing.
Ah, well. Yeah.
Whatever your setup is, but we're not getting hung up on that.
But we're back to the latest imagery of the storm here. The estimated, this is from satellite, it's not a radar, it's estimated satellite rainfall amounts in an hour. But this storm continues to get stronger, and that rain continues to move closer to land. And as one person said, this is a situation, and you can't disagree with that.
There is now, on the recent image, there is now 3 sections of -80. The 2 other areas have gotten smaller, but forming on the southeastern side. Probably going to start getting ready to shoot up. This in itself now.
That's the weak side there, the southeast.
Well, now the weaker side, according on the RAM imagery, is now literally the direct south of the eye wall.
Right.
But
What timestamp is that?
that was of 1845 UTC.
Oh, that's interesting, because it doesn't appear that way at all on this particular imagery, which is newer than that. The last
That's
image
where
on
I'm saying
here
RAM's
is...
running slow.
The last image on here is... Yeah, but what I'm seeing is the weak spot. You know, the weak spot usually revolves around the eye as it's moving along. It's gone from sort of east to southeast in recent frames.
Oh my god.
And the last
guys?
frame there is 7:31
See,
UTC.
I see what you're meaning, and as I was saying, that's why I've been reporting RAM to be running slow updates, because it is literally an hour slow. Coming up to an hour slow, in fact. The RAM imagery you could use, but it's not really up to date.
I'm being asked for the eye temperature. I've not got any new imagery that's going to suggest a new eye temperature, so ask me again later.
Hey, guys. You might want to see this on the GFS.
Long range?
Oh
here.
no!
Yes.
Yes,
I know.
that means it won't
GFS,
happen,
but-
clearly. This is the same GFS model that predicted Inawa would have a pressure of 871 millibars, that Noru would have a pressure of 865 millibars, and that Irma would strike North Carolina as an 884 millibar Category 5.
Okay then. Well, I
wouldn't
guess
believe it if I were
this, well, I guess that was anticlimactic.
But you can have a look at it at least. Well, there's the CMC, and that's even
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah, but on here, there's like 2 tropical cyclones that form here. And what
Blimey.
what I'm concerned,
Oh!
what I'm concerned is the warm waters north of Australia, because those are extremely favorable for any tropical or any disturbance to pass through here.
Which model were you
Yeah.
looking at?
If wind shear. I was looking in the GFS, but I can look in the CMC.
Bess, that's even worse.
That's what we were talking about, Greg. If you're going to follow a model, well, I wouldn't follow any particular model at any particular time. The best performing model last year in the Southern Hemisphere was actually a cross between, probably a tie between the GFS and the HWRF.
But
Well, the
2016.
GFS seems to do
probably
well
the
for
best
track,
one.
actually.
Yeah. CMC.
The only storm it really got right last year, and have been what?
Sorry?
The storm that the GFS got right last year worldwide would have been what?
I did pretty well during Dineo and during Carlos and during Inarwell track-wise, but not intensity.
I'm on about the one where it got literally head for intensity. Wasn't that Harvey?
Oh, I
Yeah.
cannot remember. GFS did pretty well during Harvey, I think.
Well, Harvey was
38
predicted
one
to
point,
become
but-
a category. No, that was the CMC. The CMC predicted a category 5, I think.
Well, when doesn't it?
I don't remember the GFS,
One cyclone.
but I'm sure. Well, I'm sure the GFS was at least borderline Cat 5. At least a strong Cat 4.
Right.
Basing it on, but the other models we won't go into that day.
No.
But we've literally drifted off track here quite badly.
Well, that's fine. Not much is going on.
Let's see if there's any more.
This is the dreadful part of a storm's life, where we are just in the position where we're just waiting. You know, it's sort of hysterical laughter time, isn't it? Really.
So, basically, we wait until something upload. Basically, right?
So yeah, that's why things are going a little bit quiet as we enter. We're going to be entering our final hour shortly, and when we
Hopefully
finish,
Archer will have microwave imagery out.
I'm sorry.
Because it's hopefully Archer will have its microwave imagery out because it is starting to unload the 18Z information. It's currently done the strengthening phase from 90 knots, and it's currently at 93.2 knots.
And when we finish up for the night over here at Force 13 HQ, we'll be probably resting a little bit. And it's probably a good idea for you guys to do that as well over in Mauritius, because tomorrow is going to be a long day of preparations, I should think. And they'll need to be completed by the end of tomorrow, because that's when the tropical storm force winds are certainly going to start, and rainfall will probably arrive sooner than then by morning. A question then, this might interest you. Will Berguitta become an annular hurricane if it is not already? Well, it isn't yet, but Craig?
It needs to lose the spiral bands.
Needs to lose some weight.
Not lose so much the weight, but it needs to lose the spiral bands that it's got.
That's how a storm becomes annular, after all.
I mean, I don't really see anything why it couldn't, but the spiral band, so that's what it needs to really get rid of. The storm itself.
Do you think it will?
It's got the chance.
Do you think it could?
There's the possibility it could, but I don't. In my mind, I don't see it. I don't see it going annular. I don't see it going annular.
Okay then. Well, here's another question. According to you, they say, the best way for reunion is that the cyclone move to the north or the south of the island. Well, it's got to be south, because if the storm moves north of the island, the southern half of the storm has a much larger wind field than the northern half of the storm. So, if the storm passes just 100 miles south of Reunion, they may not get tropical storm force winds. That would be nice, but I don't think that's going to happen, sadly. It's probably going to pass just north, or actually make landfall on Reunion, as Meteo France are suggesting. More questions. Questions about our schedule. I'll clear that up a little bit later. Could it become a Category 5 if things went just right? Well, it's on its way so far.
As I was going to say, someone was bound to bring it up anyway of that dreaded category, but then again, someone did have to ask it, but there is the chance that it could. There is that chance. If it keeps this rate of intensification up, then there is the chance that it could. I think it will. There is the chance that it might. We hope it certainly doesn't. We hope it. Well, they're thinking about making landfall anywhere, or even affecting land in any shape or form.
Well, I got quite a few more questions as well. I live in Port Louis. No rain, no winds till now, so calm. Is that a bad sign?
Before the storm.
Well, we know about that, but is it a bad sign? Well, I guess it's not particularly relevant. Rain isn't too far away, as you can see on this imagery. I guess make the most of it, because it isn't going to last very long. More sort of answers. Kevy Shader says, I think the water temperatures and the wind shear is not optimal to sustain a high-end Cat 4 or low-end Cat 5. That may well be true, because maybe it would be one already otherwise.
And how the wind shear's acting because we don't know, seeing as how Sims is broken.
Craig's angry
Come on,
again.
Sims.
More questions. Is there a chance for Berguitta to weaken before it hits Mauritius? Well, the officials think so. We don't know for sure. Some models are saying no. Some of the HWRF, as we saw earlier on, thinks that it will intensify after Mauritius, before reunion. So who knows? Value Max gives us a report from the north of Mauritius near Grand Bay, and it's pretty calm there. And could Berguitta make landfall as a Category 5? I would say the chances of that are maybe 5%. We're getting on towards the end of this hour. It's almost midnight in Mauritius, nearly 8 o'clock PM here at Force 13 HQ, where the weather is almost as poor. Cold night over here, down to 42 degrees Fahrenheit, 6 Celsius. But we are tracking Cyclone Berguitta for the next hour and a bit, and if you've got any more questions for us during the last hour, you can send them in, of course, as always. Now, to remind you of what our schedule is going to be after our live stream concludes at 1 o'clock in the morning, I'll put it out all in Mauritius time for ease of use, I suppose. We will probably have another update a little bit later on, possibly at 2 o'clock. Not sure just yet whether that one's going to go ahead or not, but we will definitely have an update at 6 AM local time, and we will also have another update in the afternoon, probably at about maybe 2 or 3 PM local time. There'll be another short update on YouTube. You can also, there'll probably be another live stream as well at what time we're looking at, 9 PM local time. We'll be doing another live stream, and that's going to run, if the storm hasn't made landfall and is going to make landfall during that evening, we will stay on the air until the landfall occurs. So that is a rough idea of what our schedule is going to be in the next 2 days. Could Berguitta stay as a Category 3 and not strengthen to a 4? Well, that's sort of what they're saying at the moment, but we don't know yet. But at the moment it's already a Category 3 and could be on its way to strengthening. Anything else that you guys want to add before we finish up this hour? As it really starts to rain heavily here at Force 13 HQ.
The same here.
Well, we might have an update from Meteo France if they've been useful, and in fact there is. So let's see what they now say. Meteo France now say that the storm's strength is still only 90 knots. Okay.
Hello. Into that.
And they are predicting now 125 miles an hour, 110 knots, and that is near 200 kilometers per hour peak in 24 hours, just before striking Mauritius. So that's where we're at. That's what they're saying. Oh boy. And there is their track map as well. You can see by that fourth point there, which is the one just before it's... Oh no, it's the one when it is striking Mauritius, is it? No, I think it is the one before. So they're predicting a 125 mile an hour peak just before it hits Mauritius, according to their map. That's a lot to mull over. Class 1 warning still in effect for Mauritius. They will be upgraded to Class 2 at 4 AM, 4:10 AM local time. Réunion have a pre-cyclone alert that's currently in effect. You can of course follow us on all of our mediums online. We're going to take a break now. We'll be back again at about 1 minute past 8. Stay tuned for the next 5 minutes or so. We'll be with you again on the other side of this. details in a moment. You can follow Force 13's outlets, the website force13.com, which is still under construction right now, but check it out anyway. You can also find us on YouTube, subscribe if you haven't already, search Force 13 all in text. Same on Facebook, put us a like on there as well, and you can also send us a message there, or on Twitter. We're at Force 13, the handle on Twitter. You can also add our official account Force 13 on Skype, or add my personal account on Discord, Fool13 at extension 9094. Also for this storm we've teamed up with Mateo a Cyclone Maurice. Check out their Facebook page for latest discussion there too. You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. Welcome to Force 13 Live, more live coverage of Cyclone Berguitta. It's our fourth of 4 hours of streaming here live as it continues to approach Mauritius. This is our final hour of the night, taking you through till 1 a.m. in Mauritius. The current time is 8 o'clock. It's just past midnight as we enter January the 16th in that part of the world. And we'll give you more updates if there are any, because I guess things are sort of winding down at this point and we sort of have an uncertain period overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning as this storm continues to edge closer. It is a Category 3 with winds of 120 miles an hour, as you saw on the top of the hour, and it is down to 950 millibars. We're joined by our Discord team, who you will be able to see in the background, or hear in the background, consisting in this hour of Isaac, Craig and Addison. Good evening, guys.
Hello.
Good evening.
Well, I guess we should begin from where we left off. In fact, just to briefly tell you the position update on this hour, according to our estimates, 18.2 degrees south, 62.6 degrees east. That puts the storm 115 miles north-northwest of Rodrigues, 222 miles east-southeast of St. Brandon, 360 miles east-northeast of Port Louis. That has gone 1 mile closer to Port Louis in the last hour, which isn't very much.
And again, to receive the precautions you need to take into place right now. Remember, before the cyclone, to ensure that your house is in good condition and can withstand cyclone gusts, trim tree branches likely to cause damages to your house, telephone, and electricity lines. Clear your property of loose material that can cause injury and damage during extreme winds. Identify secure places for your boat. Be acquainted with the nearest cyclone refugee center. Prepare an emergency kit consisting of the following: 1. Portable AM/FM radio and fresh batteries. 2. Torch, lamps, candles, matches, etc. 3. Water containers. 4. Canned food, can opener, stove with sufficient gas. 5. Rice, flour, biscuits, cheese, etc. 6. First aid kit and essential medicines. 7. Clothes secured in plastic bags. 8. Toolkit for emergency repairs, hammer, nail, rope, etc. Make sure you do this immediately because the conditions are going to start deteriorating probably tomorrow morning for Mauritius, I think if I'm correct.
Yeah, well, if it gets a move on unexpectedly, it could happen overnight, but we're probably going to be thinking about tomorrow morning. You can see on the latest, this is the satellite indicated rainfall. It's not a radar, but it's the second best thing to one, since Mauritius doesn't yet have a radar. You can see on the western side there, the fringe of the storm, some rainfall. Looks like it is approaching Mauritius and might arrive there maybe in an hour or just over an hour, maybe a little bit of rainfall there in relation to the storm, and that will be the first significant rainfall they'll have seen, at least on this imagery, which I don't know how accurate this imagery is. I guess we'll see, won't we, when people start reporting rainfall and what it actually looks like on the satellite.
Yeah.
Center of the storm is still very clear. I don't suppose you've got any new infrared images?
It's not gonna update for me, and like it'll update maybe 3 minutes from now. So
I've not actually shown the one that you posted a few minutes ago. So let's take a look at that.
That one was taken about, I think, 20-30 minutes ago, so it's kind of old and dated.
Actually,
not as round as it was.
Yeah. But as Craig said, when we were all fair, that might be just a slight irregularity that it's probably gonna fix later on, possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah. We'll find out.
We've got
in fact, I think a new image just came in. Yeah, a new image just came in. Yeah. I'll share it to you in a bit.
Oh, here's an image from RAM. Now that is a very strong eye wall, but the eye is not quite there. Now usually when we've got this situation, when a storm looks like that, you would probably give that 140 miles an hour, but it has to sustain for about 2 or 3 hours at the minimum if we're going to call that 140 miles an hour. It has to look like that or better for a good 3 hours before we're going to call it any stronger than 120, which is what we're doing. But that looks somewhat worrying.
Yeah, note that
this is
cloud top Sevo.
Note how
newer
there's
imagery.
a -80 that's embedded in that, and that is another sign that I am not liking one bit.
Here's newer imagery.
I'm not too worried about how cold the cloud tops are now, because it's wrapped. It's full. You've now got a ring wrapped around the eye wall, on the western side of the eye wall area. So technically now I'm concerned about that part of the -70 wrapping even further around the eye wall, around the outside of the eye wall.
It looks like it has.
-80.
Yeah.
Once that happens, it's pretty much, you're looking at probably higher up the category 3.
Hold on, let's check Let's check the imagery from, since everyone else is glitching in the background, let's check the imagery from on the infrared on our screen here to see what's been going on. Well, the eye doesn't look half as good as it did an hour ago, but yeah, in response, those cloud tops in the eye wall Again, we've got a horseshoe again there by the looks of things. It's not a complete eye wall, strong eye wall. Well, it is a complete eye wall, but it's not a... doesn't completely wrap around those -70 cloud tops, as Craig was saying. Yet.
Oh, that image that you're having on the stream is literally an hour ago.
Well, it was. Yeah, that's no secret.
Right here. Well, this
God.
is recent.
The image I sent was about taken, I think, 25 minutes ago.
Although it's a different color scheme, which I'm not familiar with, so I don't actually know what color cloud top, what temperature cloud tops those are.
The dark black is -90, and then the dark reddish is
Well, there won't be any -90 in there.
Is -80.
I'm really concerned.
But what I mean to say, it's quite difficult to establish what temperatures, colors those are just by looking at it.
Yeah.
Because the color scheme is different and not as clear.
Are -8 if the really dark, close to black cloud tops are -80. This makes this even worse. To an even starker situation than it.
The black color is -90, and then the dark, that kind of burgundy color.
Yes, but there won't be a black
is,
color on there.
-80.
It might look black, but compare it to black, and it won't be black.
There's like one spot where it looks really dark, but it's hard to tell because my eyes are bad.
Here's a question that's just been sent to us. What model do you think is more accurate, the GFS or the European model?
Craig?
Any thoughts? Okay, I guess not.
What about the crazy sub 900 millibar thing, and what about the crazy Europeans?
Craig doesn't seem to rate either of them then.
Not really, but GFS for me, no. No, I would rate UTMWF higher because it doesn't go out and predict
In a
something
good way.
sub 900 millibars.
Yes. If you've got any questions for us on the stream in this last hour, the final hour of our stream tonight, do send us a message. Start your message with Force 13 all in text if you're watching us on the YouTube chat. Yes, you may as well continue.
What?
Okay, maybe not.
No, I don't know.
Here's -80 starting to show up on the northwestern side of the Isle of Wight.
I'm trying.
RAM imagery anyway.
People still comparing this to Hollander, storm that impacted there in 1994.
It says Berguitta is a KD.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Your signal's
Not
far
good.
too laggy for us to make out a sentence, sorry.
The Joint Typhoon Warning Center says it's a Category 2.
The Joint Typhoon Warning
Category
Centre won't be
2.
updating for an
That's
hour.
fine. I said that the Joint Typhoon Warning Center says that it... Oh, crap.
They won't be updating for an
Well,
hour.
it says Category 3, and yes, I know. It's
12Z.
and such, but I'm trying to get the source. Yeah.
Should only say 12Z, not 8.
The Joint Typhoon Warning Centre update at 1 o'clock in Mauritius time.
I'm trying to source it. It says Category. It is useless, and this website is both useless. Well, I can't find an official.
Anyway, more questions. How strong do you think this system will be?
Yeah.
Well, I'll let other
services,
people
current
answer that
storm.
question if you want.
Craig?
Craig, we're all looking at you. Now, if
He's
it
on
does,
Chinese connection now.
What?
if it does continue
Storm
in
you-
these conditions and it
Better
remains
see.
just as it If it continues as it means to go on, then it will probably reach Category 4. However, there is always that potential that it will weaken just before impacting the islands, as La Reunion are thinking. I wouldn't bet on it though, and anyone who is thinking of taking chances during this storm, regardless of whether it's forecasted to weaken or not, even if it did weaken, it would still be winds producing 160 miles an hour sustained, most likely, or more on the island. I think that is almost assured at this point. It's just a matter of just exactly when. If this storm starts accelerating now, Mauritius, the Meteorological Service in Mauritius, are going to have quite a lot of explaining to do by morning.
Yeah.
So, here's another important question. Please tell us, according to your calculation from now on, in how many hours we will meet the first rains, as it is already midnight. Well, if you look at this picture here, as we've been looking at for some time, this goes on. This loop is 3 hours in length. So you're looking at a 3-hour passage of time there, and you can see those peripheral bands on the western side with some sporadic rainfall edging closer to Mauritius. If one of those hits, then it will get there probably maybe in about another 2 hours.
How fast that outflow boundary is moving.
About another 2 hours, I would suggest, for any rain in Mauritius.
Oh, and yeah.
But no one in Mauritius will see the bulk of the storm, that main part, the actual storm proper, until probably tomorrow afternoon at least, if not later. Unless it speeds up unexpectedly.
Exactly. I was just going to say, unless it does that, but it's slow movement for now.
Just to remind everyone what the forecast shows, that's La Reunion's forecast as of 10 p.m, which is nearly 2 hours ago now, showing where the storm is located and where it's going to go. They think that the storm will impact Mauritius with winds of 125 miles an hour, that's about 200 kilometers per hour or so, on Wednesday night, and it will impact La Reunion at a near that intensity as well on Thursday morning, and they think it will make an actual landfall. But don't forget that yellow outline there, that cone, that is not a wind field cone, that is where the center of the storm could track. Anywhere from the southern periphery to the northern periphery of that cone, the storm's center could track. Now we're hoping it's going to be south, because that means that the smaller wind field in the north will be closer to the islands, rather than the storm travelling north of the islands, in which the much larger wind field to the south will impact the islands instead. It's the lesser of two evils, I suppose, because it looks at this point that we are sort of at an irreversible situation. Unless the storm somehow rapidly weakens from dry air intrusion or a terrible eye wall replacement cycle that went wrong or something.
I mean, the only thing that could even possibly weaken it is, one, the islands themselves, if it makes a direct landfall, or dry air intrusion is pretty much the only thing that could even kill this thing or weaken it at this point in time.
Or if it did a horrible eye wall replacement cycle and dry air got right in there.
Oh yeah, true, that too.
But I don't see that happening, really.
Yeah. That's like really the only saving graces right now, is if one of those three happens. But, well, two of them actually, never mind.
There's a question, is it moving slower than predicted? Well, the question is, from whose prediction? If you were looking at La Reunion, they never, from the beginning, they didn't think this storm would ever stall, and when it did stall, they said it would move immediately. The first time it stalled, the second time, third time, fourth time, and after a day it finally started moving again. So they got it wrong so many times, but the model guidance was also for movement on the whole, so you can't really blame them, because the models were saying so, apart from the GFS, which so far have done okay, but they said it would go closer to St. Brandon than it has. So this is the latest imagery we do anticipate it will start to accelerate, but the question is how quickly. It's all about the timings, isn't it?
I got a new image, and it looks like it's slowly moving to the west there.
Well, anything is possible. I mean, seen that with last year's cyclones, Debbie, turned or not until it finally made landfall.
Yeah.
It's in a more vast and open area of water where there's debris was actually encroaching on land, so this is also what makes it more of a nightmare for forecasting. Potentially have a threat of making
It is a bad one for the forecasters, this.
Yeah, it is, and especially its directional movement. It's stalled. It's got the chance of rapid intensification. Done pretty much, and it could still be doing. It's such an absolute headache for meteorologists.
And just as we look back at this imagery again, looks to me, guys, oof, it's not good news. It's moving west, isn't it?
Yeah, I've noticed that in the last frame. It looks to be moving west now.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It's
Slightly, but definitely moving west.
yeah. I guess it's decided to slowly but surely get out of that phase of stalling.
Orlando, what do you think about this storm's chances of further intensification?
I think they're quite high. I honestly, at this point, wouldn't be surprised if it even reaches a Category 4.
I just posted a new. I don't know if you saw the new image.
We're
but I
showing
posted
it.
The new image in chat. Oh, you are?
Yes.
Oh, because I can't see screen share on my phone because it's another Discord thing.
So that is the latest image, and it does look better, although the eye still needs some work.
Missed it. Looking at it, just looking at a wider view of the cyclone, I'm seeing this thing with major amounts of convection to its northwest
Let's
and
zoom out.
northeast. I think it's done.
It's done? What do you mean?
It's onto the intertropical convergence zone in two separate directions.
As we're just uploading this imagery here, or the wider view, you can also see that other tropical depression that Meteo France at first, to the northwest of Madagascar, Meteo France at first thought that would become a tropical storm. It was a close one, but it looks to have made landfall now and is moving inland as a tropical depression, has not intensified, has not been named, and that will probably be going away very soon, but it could deliver some significant problems to Mozambique, although I don't know the situation there with regard to flooding, but I assume that it may get pretty bad over there, because it usually does. Madagascar having a lot of thunderstorm activity over there as well, enhanced by the monsoon, I suppose.
Yeah. And probably an active intertropical convergence zone, which will be also potentially more thunderstorms, which is you can see in the imagery.
Yeah, so you can also see the wide shot on towards the northeast of the storm. There's quite a lot going on there too. Of Berguitta. A lot of thunderstorm activity, and just in general. And you can see its influence extending out towards the southeast as well. Just those inflows that you were talking about yesterday more, Craig, just the extent of them.
That's the thing I'm pointing out, is that I think that what's happened here on the wide view is that it's actually latched onto the intertropical convergence zone with its twin inflows, which...
What implications does that have, if any, for the storm's intensity?
Put feed on moisture, which helps it intensify. There's only been one other cyclone that has done this, and that was a South Pacific cyclone called Winston.
Are you sure there weren't others?
But I've only seen Winston do it.
Well, that's an example, at least. That's not good.
Intertropical convergence zone and fed off the moisture on that. That's how yellow formed and became a short-lived cyclone. But this is two inflows, and it's pulling.
Just look at the water vapor imagery as well. Just the extent is just remarkable.
Probably going to make this an extreme rain event, let alone winds as well. The rainfall is probably going to be an absolute nightmare. We're just going to be insult to injury.
Well, the models are predicting a lot of rainfall as well. I'm not sure if they're really...
I don't think we're picking up on it actually physically latching onto the intertropical convergence zone.
Well,
I don't
maybe.
think we're painting that.
Yeah. And what do you think is going to happen to all this dry air?
Probably wait to slaughter it when it goes south.
It seems to sort of... looks like it might be getting funneled towards the north of the islands.
Depends on what's going on with it, but as I said, it's probably that dry air is probably going to wait until it starts to die, and then the dry air will just go in and get into the center.
Well, I
and
guess.
just
Let's zoom back in again and take a look at the latest estimates from the rainfall, estimated rainfall. That is the latest frame as of just well, when it comes back again. That's the latest frame from 8 minutes ago, showing the latest extent of rainfall, and those showers we were talking about that were approaching Mauritius appear to be fizzling out quite a bit, so maybe rainfall won't arrive in Mauritius till a little bit later.
But looking at the image that Isaac sent, the eye wall, you can see where the eye is ready to deepen even further.
Yeah.
So that in itself is concerning. And the eye, it looks like it could, depending on the next rotation and the next part of the loop, little imperfection in the eye clears out, which I've got the nasty feeling that it's probably going to do that. I've got the nasty feeling. I hope it hasn't. Looking at the eye, you can see where the eye is beginning and where the eye really is. It does have. I wonder if Isaac does have actually another
I've no idea.
image update for it.
There is an image that we can show. Let's take a look at this.
Ooh.
What do you think? Sort of another variation of the water vapor imagery we were just showing a few moments ago.
There's no
You
real
can really see all that moisture to its north and dry air to its south. What an extreme.
I've not, you know, I've not seen something like this in. Yeah, these things can happen sometimes, but you know, such a contrast.
It's just amazing how like there's a whole bunch of dry air to its south and a whole bunch of moisture to its north, and it's like right in the middle of it, and like in the right, like at the right like intensity to where like it can kind of fight it off. It's just incredible, and I really hope that Mauritius and I forgot the other island. I don't know how I forgot it. Reunion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well done on the research.
I really hope Mauritius and Reunion are really prepared for this thing, because even if it doesn't make a direct landfall, it looks like the eye wall might try to make landfall or come on shore.
I do worry for it. It's a disaster in the making if this storm hits both of these islands directly. The population of the two islands combined is about 2 million, which is a huge number to be potentially stranded after the storm. Hopefully it won't get to that.
That's why we're saying, you know, get prepared right now while you can, because if this thing becomes as bad as we think it is, you guys are probably going to be without power for days, not to mention maybe even weeks, possibly months in some areas who are not as developed.
Now, Isaac, you were in an area just a few miles away from Hurricane Harvey's landfall, which was a Category 4 landfall. You're just a few miles, or a few dozen miles from the Hurricane Harvey landfall area. In the worst places, how long was water and power out there?
In the worst places, power was out for about, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think about 2 to 3 weeks at most over in my city.
How many? 3 weeks?
2 to 3 weeks,
2 to 3 weeks. My goodness. What about the water supply?
Water was, we had a water boil for about 3 days after the storm, and then they checked the water and they deemed it safe to use.
Right.
But that was because we only got Category 1 force winds over in Rockport.
Of course, and that was in your area, but say those places that really flooded, like Houston and wherever, did they have more problems with those services, or were they okay?
I had a relative over there. I haven't heard from them, but they said that they were fine. But I believe the power in some places that were even flooded, they actually had power still, surprisingly. But in other areas, they lost power. It was like
That can't be safe.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to have power on when water's coming into your house. You want to turn it off immediately so you don't electrocute yourself or kill yourself, because the water can, hold electricity well.
Of course.
But
so, do you still agree that this is 120 miles an hour Category 3? Just should it be upped or brought down?
I mean, if I was like Devin and really conservative, I'd probably put it like at 115. I mean, but I would agree and say it's probably 120, maybe 125.
Gosh.
If it keeps this up for a few more hours.
Yeah, the eye's just not completely there yet to call it Category 4. It would need to be a little bit better. But at the moment, we are looking at probably a mid-range Category 3 storm. It's 120 miles an hour. That's not official. The official number is 115 miles an hour. And that correlates to probably 180, 190 kilometers per hour in this storm. That's sustained winds. You can also have much stronger gusts in these storms, and it won't surprise me to see that 120 kilometer wind gust start to occur on Mauritius sometime tomorrow. Or today, as it now is.
Yeah, a good example of strong wind gusts would be going over on the other side of the globe in the northern hemisphere. Hurricane Charlie, that only made a Category 4 landfall, and they got Category 5 force gusts. So even if you have a Category 4 making landfall, you could still get extremely damaging gusts from the storm, albeit not sustained, but it's still causing havoc.
Crazy. Let's go back to the Joint Typhoon Warning Centre's forecast map. This was their last one as of 3 p.m. We might catch the 9 p.m. update if it comes out before the stream finishes. We're only here for another 29 minutes, but you can see what's being indicated there. I'd show you this map mainly for the wind fields, and this is why I would sort of want to see the storm go south of the islands. That's because the wind field on the northern side, as you can see quite clearly here, is rather much smaller than the wind field on the southern side, and especially the southeastern side. The red radius there in quadrants, the outermost, that is for... But you can see further inwards there. We might have had just a little difficulty with the streams. 75 miles an hour, about 120 kilometers per hour. And you can see that those hurricane force wind fields will probably track directly over the islands at the current forecast according to the JTWC. But don't forget, they've got a huge cone around it, and the center of the storm can travel anywhere within that cone in the next 5 days. It's a huge cone. So we'll have to be vigilant to that particular fact. But just for the record, the Joint Typhoon Warning Centre at the last update said that their predicted high wind speed would be 125 miles an hour just before impacting Mauritius, which is just exactly what La Réunion say. They'll have an update out within an hour. If it doesn't happen on our stream, check out their website, Joint Typhoon Warning Centre. It'll give you, if you search it, I'm sure you'll find it pretty easily. But that's their page. They're not official though, by the way. They're not official. The officials are RSMC La Reunion. Isaac.
Fascinating.
One of our viewers has said that I'm guessing he's in Mauritius. He didn't say where he was, but I'm guessing he's in Mauritius. He said, "I'm at a place all day long. It was cyclonic windy, but right now it's really calm. Weird." So right now people are saying in Mauritius it's quite calm. The winds are calm and now compared to earlier.
It might just be a slot or something. I'd be interested to hear from La Reunion on what their conditions are, perhaps. Maybe they're getting that wind now. Who knows? What we can determine from the satellite is that rain appears to be fizzling out from the periphery of the storm as it approaches Mauritius, but the main part of the storm is still on its way and is moving. But how fast, I'm not quite sure. Single digits, though.
Mauritius.
But there we are again, looking at the water vapor imagery over the last 12 hours. The movement of the storm as it has tracked curved south and then towards the west and is still moving due west in those last few frames.
There's a tropical low here in the West Pacific. In the GFS, they're predicting a tropical depression, or at least a low, moving over the Philippines.
Oh boy. Well, they happen quite commonly.
Yeah, and it's like another couple of days it might develop. So, yeah, pretty soon.
Well, they can happen in January indeed, and one already did. Was that this year? It must have been. Yeah.
There was a tropical... Yeah. There was.
New image just came in and.
All right, then let's see what we can see.
So look, that looks like the southeastern side of it.
First of all,
looks like
that image.
some parts of the eye is kind of warming, but that could be temporary. Temporary. Hold on a second here.
Yeah, we're just showing the other image that was posted not long ago. Craig?
Ring on -70, which it's still doing on the RAM imagery, and producing -80, that's bad enough. So it's now starting to try and show some form of consistency with the -70 ring wrapping around the eye wall and starting to push out -80. So pretty much, you know, that's all the last thing folk want to see is now a complete ring. Oh, some consistency, and looking at that image, Isaac, that eye is more circular.
Yeah. That's impressive.
Cool. That's actually become more and more organized.
Slight warming in the southeastern part, but not much.
I'd be worried about what we're seeing by the morning.
Southeast away from the eye wall. Southeast quadrant away from the eye wall, and that's in where the most moisture's getting in. So, yeah, then that would be its main target coming from the east, but it can't. It's too moist.
If it had that band to its north, it would have been a different story, and Dryer would have gotten in. But since it's to the south, it's able to fight it off a little bit.
So that's the latest image of the storm, and we're sort of just tiding over really until our coverage finishes in 20 minutes, because there's not too much else to talk about at this time. But if you do have any questions for us, make full use of the next 20 minutes that we do have, so we can leave everything with all questions answered. If you save this link, by the way, if you're watching on YouTube live, this live link will remain. The stream might end, but the chat will still be functional, believe it or not. And when we come back to do another live event tomorrow, we'll be on this very same page. So you might want to bookmark it or something, so that you can easily find it, just to check whether we're planning to go anytime soon or not. But we are planning to go live again, same time tomorrow evening, if you've been watching the whole time, beginning at 9 PM Mauritius time.
Ooh. Another one of our viewers has said, "Is it going to be Cat 3 when it comes to Maru?" I believe they meant to say Mauritius, but they spelled it wrong.
Nice of you to notice. I'm sure they would have been pleased, very pleased to know that they spelt it wrong. Category 3
they spelled it
conditions or
MRU.
landfall?
They said category 3. Just like if it comes over there. When it
Yeah,
comes
well,
over to
category
Mrs.
3 conditions are very possible on the island, on both of them, yes.
Okay.
And Norway Mapping asks, when do you think you will upgrade it to a Cat 4? Hopefully never, eh?
Yeah, that'll be nice.
But if it does have to come, you know, we end up having to sadly put it up to Cat 4. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do, and you sadly have to put it up with a. You know, as much as you don't want to, you're. Of it becoming a category 4, there is that chance.
As we
3
continue
plus,
to look
let's
at this
put it that
imagery.
way. It's at the minute looking at that image that Isaac sent. What other way is there to describe it? It's becoming better organized. The eye's perfection. More rounded in that image. The outflow has started to get stronger from looking at that little band that's coming away from the storm to the northwest. That's a sign of a very healthy cyclone.
And it's producing rainfall totals estimated about in the northern semicircle of the eye wall, probably about let me figure this one out, 1.5 inches per hour.
Really, that's a tropical cyclone that is packing a lot of moisture. If that does hit land.
Another question there, what will the wind speed be when it reaches Mauritius? Well, at the moment it's trending towards high-end category 3 with winds of around 200 kilometers per hour we're currently expecting. Now that may not happen either because the storm weakens or because it goes further north or south. Someone asking about
looking at the
analogs, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it'll. The best case scenario in terms of track is probably well, I don't know, to be honest. I mean, Dina stayed quite far away from Mauritius. There was a close call. Holland of 1994 was a bad storm, and the potential for this storm being like that is definitely there.
Looking at the recent RAM image, it's starting to show a very significant sign of another area of -80. Now back on the southwest side, along with the northeastern to northern quadrant of that's part of the eye wall.
We're not going to have another top of the hour update, but this might be 125 at the next hour.
Oh.
And dare I say, maybe stronger if it keeps this up.
Oh my, here's another image then. That one that just came through, yeah.
Before and after.
Someone's asking me about the eye temperature. I don't have the very latest imagery to work on for the eye temperature, but I will get to you what I have. Well, no, there's no point. It was -5 at its peak. I don't know what it is now. It probably isn't quite -5. It's probably a little bit colder than that.
Looking at the image,
but as a result,
I would always say that was
it might have sacrificed a bit of eye temperature, but the eye wall has cooled as a result. Greg?
Doing it off the image that's on the live stream or on the image that Isaac sent?
No, the imagery that I'm looking at, and on that imagery, to be honest, that's not -5. That's going to be a little bit less.
One of our viewers.
I was probably thinking that's probably close to positive.
No, it has to be much darker grey.
And another one of our viewers has said, and another one of our viewers in Mauritius has said, stars in the sky, but very windy here in Mauritius. So the wind apparently looks to be picking up again. And then another person saying that the buildings have been constructed with large windows and iron sheet on the roof. Saying that there will be a lot of damage apparently. That's not good.
Yes. It's not
But
good.
that's why we're saying just to prepare, and if your home is not able to withstand those cyclone force gusts, they're probably gonna give you locations for shelters to go into to ride out the storm while it passes over you. So make sure you go over towards what's the website again? Mito something.
Which one? Meteo
What is
France?
it? What's the name? No, not Meteo France. For the Mauritius.
What were you talking about? Our partners?
Yeah, no. What's the site? Met Service. Yeah, Met Service.
Med Service in Mauritius.
Yeah.
But you
Met
can also
Service
take a look at our
and,
partners page, Meteo et Cyclone Maurice. We're doing joint work together for this particular cyclone, delivering the information quicker than ever.
And you'll be able to see what you need to do, and they should give you some links or some numbers to call if you need to find a shelter and try to get into it or find one if your house is not able to withstand it.
Yeah.
The Meteorological.
We've lost your signal.
Partly cloudy and shower.
I think he's just reading the comments.
And as we continue to look at the rain map, you can see again that rain just fizzling out just before reaching Mauritius. This is all I can really show at the moment, unless anyone wants to show something else or
Let me check if the
more
inventory is
images.
updated.
But we've just got got 15 minutes left here to talk about your questions. So
imagery here that looks peculiar.
this rainfall per hour map is from NESDIS, N-E-S-D-I-S. That's part of it's either NOAA or NASA.
I'm gonna see if I could.
Oh no, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted. There we go.
Thanks for letting us all know. Anyway, just to reiterate, this storm is about 360 miles away from Mauritius. 2 hours ago, it was about 365 miles, so it's about 5 miles closer than it was 2 hours ago, and it's drawing slowly closer. And it's painful to watch, I guess. It's such slow movement of this storm. I mean,
I could only imagine what people in Mauritius are thinking. They're probably stressed out of their mind right now.
But from the current movement, we can extrapolate it's probably moving at 4 miles an hour, 7 kilometers per hour.
It's like the southwest.
To the southwest.
That's not really fast. Oh man. I guess I might as well read the information that the Met agency gives for people in Mauritius who.
I guess so, since we're
need to
wrapping
find
up soon.
shelters. Yeah, this is as a Met service. I don't know if David or anybody who's a chat mod can put the link to the Met service.
And just to reiterate, they
give
will
good
be
information.
updating their Class 1 warning to Class 2 at their next update, we assume, at 4:10.
And again, here are the precautions if you guys want to hear them out again. Again, do this before the cyclone. Don't do this when the 50, 40 mile an hour wind starts picking up over there. Before the cyclone, ensure that your house is in good condition and can withstand cyclone gusts. Trim tree branches likely to cause damages to your house, telephone, and electricity lines. Clear your property of loose material that can cause injury and damage during extreme winds. Identify secure places for your boat. Be acquainted with the nearest cyclone refugee centers. Prepare an emergency kit consisting of the following: 1. Portable AM, FM radio and fresh batteries. 2. Torch, lamps, candles, matches, etc. 3. Water containers. 4. Canned food, can opener, stove with sufficient gas. 5. Rice, flour, biscuits, cheese, etc. 6. First aid kit and essential medicines. 7. Clothes secured in plastic bags. 8. Toolkit for emergency repairs, hammer, nail, rope, etc. And make sure you do this before the cyclone comes over here, not when you're starting to get those stronger outer winds from the storm. That'll be the bad time to do it. And again, this is from the Met Service.
And maybe part of the afternoon at this rate.
Yeah, and this is from the Met Service. I can't link them because I don't have that ability since I'm not a chat mod. But
They've all been
a Met Service, go onto the website and yeah.
Norway
I can't post a
mapping
link because I'm a
asks.
chat mod. I'm not a chat mod.
Norway map, do you get the rainfall per hour map?
I already answered that question.
Crap.
More question, not a question, but an observation. In St. Louis, in the south of Reunion Island, next to the city of Saint Pierre, there's a lot of rain, they say. According to Stanley, thank you very much for that. Even though it doesn't show any of it on the rainfall chart, but obviously ground observations would supersede anything that's shown on this graphic. I don't know how accurate it actually is, it's just an indication of what is actually going on, but I do expect from looking at that water vapor map that maybe a little bit of rainfall is getting in here and there. We've not got long left here. More questions then. We'll take any questions. We'll go question crazy if you've got loads of questions in these last few minutes. How long will the storm stay in Mauritius? What will the weather be like on Friday and Saturday? It will probably be gone by Friday, maybe even Thursday if lucky, but definitely Friday it will be gone from Mauritius, and Reunion might just be seeing it out by Friday. Let's see what else we've got. Some people are commenting now that the wind is starting to get up in Mauritius, so well, we'll see.
That's not good.
I'm wondering whether we might just leave this stream up and running without any commentary for a time, or what we're actually going to do at the end of this hour, but we will be finishing up here shortly.
I would probably put it up because there's probably people throughout the night who want to look at it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that will affect my workability elsewhere, but we did that during Hurricane Matthew indeed, but I'll think about it.
I got a new image now. I'm gonna see if I can post it on here. Hold on.
Hurricane 360 asks, what's your analysis on Super Typhoon Roger?
Not again.
Damn
I've asked that question about
I'm-
5 times so far, and I keep saying I'm not going to talk about other cyclones whilst I don't have the information of my analysis in front of me, because we're elsewhere doing this update.
Plus the fact.
I'm looking for it.
There's a new image there.
Yeah, we're seeing it.
Greg, what are your thoughts on it?
Fine.
True to forecast, actually, the Joint Typhoon Warning Centre have released their map before the end of the stream, which is lovely.
Oh, yeah.
Here it is. They say it's got winds of 115 miles an hour. They're now predicting a 120 mile an hour peak, and they say that it will impact a landfall on Mauritius early on no. What we're looking at there, Tuesday, Wednesday, early on Thursday morning, well, late Wednesday night. The last hours of Wednesday night into early hours Thursday morning, they're now saying, will be the landfall time, with winds of 115 miles per hour, which is about 180, 190 kilometers per hour, and then it will pass just south of La Réunion according to the Joint Typhoon Warning Centre, and stay very strong and then start to weaken as it goes down towards the south there. That's what we're looking at according to the Joint Typhoon Warning Centre. They're saying a little bit further south than what Meteo France are saying. I'll show you their map again as well in case you've missed it. That's their map. They say it'll be a little bit further north, glancing the northwestern coast of Mauritius, and a landfall in La Réunion. That's what they're saying. It still could go either way, although it's looking more and more likely as time goes on that there's going to be a significant impact on one or both, probably both of these islands.
Someone's saying, so I need to close all my windows and doors. Yes, I would do that because if we keep them open, stuff can fly in and rain could get in. I'd also say if it gets extremely bad, if you're not able to go to a shelter in time and you have to hunker down in your house, go into the interiormost part of your house, like a closet or a bedroom, a bathroom without windows. Get some pillows, blankets, maybe even a mattress over you if you can, while the storm goes over you. If the eye goes over the islands, you're gonna see a little bit of a calm. Don't be alarmed by that. It might lead you into a false sense of security. Stay in your area where you are right now. You can assess the damage later. Then the other part of the eye will come in. It might be just as bad as the first part of it, and you'll write that out. And then once that goes away, you could finally go and assess the damage. But that's if the storm makes a landfall in Mauritius or Reunion. But yes, I would still recommend you close doors, windows, and be prepared.
Given the current state of the storm, if it did make landfall, the second half of the storm might be worse than the first.
Yeah. So, and like I said, if you see just a sudden calm after all those violent winds, that's probably the eye going over you. So, I mean, you could go out, but I wouldn't recommend kind of going out because once that other part of the eye wall starts coming in, you're gonna be scrambling to get back home, and I'll just stay where you are until that eye goes over, and then you get the eye wall, and then after that you could finally assess the damages. But
well, there we are, coming up to 1 o'clock in Mauritius, and we're about to call it a night here. So I don't know if you guys have any closing thoughts for tonight. And just a minute or two for people to send in any more questions that they might have.
Mine is just to stay safe. Remember to listen to your local government and your local weather service agencies. They'll let you know, and they'll point you to what you need to do. Look at the Met service online, and they have information readily available for you if you need to go to shelter or what to do if you haven't been in a cyclone before. They'll give you good help. That's what I could say is just be prepared and do your preparations now while you still can before those stronger gusts start coming in, like I said, and make you force you to go and take shelter.
Yeah.
Someone asked,
Craig, how about you?
Oh, go ahead.
Well, nothing really to add apart from stay safe, listen to the watches and warnings, and when the eye does come over, whatever you do, don't go outside. Because as Isaac said, that leads you into a false sense of security, thinking, oh, darn it, why is it windy again? I'll always arrive if the eye hits you. First eye wall, stay indoors. When the eye passes, stay indoors, because the second eye wall will be on its way. The first. Out of 10 it can be.
Alright.
But stay safe, everybody in Mauritius and Reunion, as next few hours will be crucial to its track.
Anyone else, just before we finish up here? Then I guess we hold our peace.
Just to say,
Oh, go on. In your own time.
Okay.